Number 10. Jason Earls. Bang Flabbit Jackson! That's right, fans of the show surely recognize Mr. Jason Earls as Jackson Rod Stewart, aka Miley's big brother. Fun fact, Jason was almost 30 years old when he started playing the character, who's in his mid-teens, so hey, good for Jason for nabbing that one. He was a lovable goofball who always had something going on. This man was literally the physical embodiment of ADHD. I love him. Following his time on the show, he nabbed the role of Sensei Rudy Gillespie on the hit Disney XD series Kickin' It, which was genuinely one of my favorite sitcoms as a kid. The show centered around Rudy running the Bobby Wasabi Dojo, which was a failing karate studio and a strip mall. The show ran for 4 seasons before suddenly being cancelled in 2015. Jason was left wondering where his next check may come from and what his next job was going to be. Following Kicking It, Jason ended up taking an unplanned hiatus from the acting world, a hiatus that finally ended in 2022 when he returned to the acting world in the Disney Plus show High School Musical, the series. Really, Disney? You didn't want to workshop that one a little bit? Apparently though, he's been involved with that show behind the scenes since it first aired as a mentor to the young actors. Jason is considered a Disney darling and he currently teaches the next generation how to be just as energetic as he was. Number 9. Shanika Knowles. I know what you're thinking, and no, despite sharing the same last name as Beyonce and Solange, Shanika is not related to the Knowles family. She just happens to share the same last name. That would be cool if everyone with the same last name was related though. There'd be so many Smiths. Shanika played Amber Addison, one half of the duo that would make up Miley's tormentors. Amber and Ashley made Miley's life a living hell on the show, with Amber being played as a jealous type. She thinks she's a great singer, she's the editor of the school yearbook, and she was the first in her class to get a driver's license. Oh, isn't that special? After the show was cancelled, it seems that Shanika probably should have told people that she was related to Beyonce. Unfortunately, her acting career never got bigger than her time on the show. During her time on the show, she was in the film Jump In alongside Corbin Bleu, but even that was like a much smaller capacity. She was never able to find her place in Hollywood, and she now sits in that pile of actors that never moved on from the House of Mouse. Say hi to Mitchell Musso for us. Number 8. Mitchell Musso. Mitch played Hannah Montana's best friend Oliver Oken on the hit Disney sitcom Hannah Montana. When the show was coming to an end, he began dominating the scene. He was being casted to voice people like Jeremy and Phineas and Ferb, and played one of the titular kings in Pair of Kings. And he was in something called Hatching Pete. I'm pretty sure I saw it, but I repressed that memory. It was really weird. He seemed to be following the same track as Demi Lovato as the next big thing to come from Disney. People think that about Demi Lovato, right? That's something that people agree on. Unfortunately, his career came to a screeching halt in 2011 when he was arrested in Burbank, California. He neglected to slow down after being directed by police, and the report said that the moment the window was rolled down, it was like a cloud of no-no juice just drop-kicked them in the nostrils. He blew a BLA of 0.8, which for those of you who don't know means that he was hammied bud. He was arrested, forced to participate in a no-no juice educational program, and charged with driving under the influence. Needless to say, that didn't really go with Disney's vibe, so he was recasted on Pair of Kings, his prank show got cancelled, and he was basically blacklisted from Disney and everywhere else entirely. He had also been attempting to start a music career, but that just nosedived into a toilet, so if you'd like to find Mitchell these days, you can download one of his old songs, and you'll be the first one to do it in a while, so I'm sure he'll find you. Number 7. Moises Arias. Another former Hannah Montana star, Moises is probably best known as the young entrepreneur and biggest troublemaker on the beach, Rico. His character on the show was always getting sucked into the family's problems, and he delivered some iconic moments that are a big part of the reason that this show still holds up. There's a good chance that you've seen him in recent Hollywood flicks, but you might not realize who he was. Since leaving the Disney world behind, Arias has been a part of several indie films that received stellar reviews, like the coming-of-age story Kings of Summer, when he played Biagio. But most recently, he starred alongside SNL alumni Davidson in a movie based on the comedian's early life called King of Staten Island, sprouting a goatee and he's got tattoos all over him. He's unrecognizable. It must be in his contract that he exclusively works in films with King in the title though. It's just a little coincidental. Number 6. Sterling Knight. Sterling only made a handful of appearances on the show, but certainly made his mark as one of Hannah Montana's love interests that doesn't exactly work out. Hannah Montana was actually just one of a few shows that Sterling ended up being a part of, being casted in stuff like Sunny with a Chance, So Random, and Starstruck. His most lucrative role though was playing Zac Efron's son in the film 17 again. That's right, I bet you forgot about that one. Weird movie, guys. Since his days at Disney, he has unfortunately fallen into the category of brokest cast member. He's made small cameo appearances in films and TV over the years, but he hasn't had a significant acting gig since 2015. Nowadays, he's still trying to work, but when he's not working, he enjoys traveling across the globe. I'm not sure that's a great way to save money, but I'm terrible with my finances, so who am I to judge? Number 5. Cody Lindley. Cody was probably the most memorable love interest to ever appear on the sitcom. Sorry, Jesse McCartney, not today. Cody played Miley's on and off again love interest Jake Ryan, returning over and over again until the show's final season. If you were a fan of Jake, then I have good news. If you hated Jake, I have bad news. It actually took a few years for him to stop acting following his time on Hannah Montana. He was able to snag a role in the Sharknado franchise, specifically 4 and 5. There are 7 of those movies. Whoever keeps doing that, please stop. Outside of his role on Sharknado, he's unfortunately found it difficult to find work. Apparently being a Disney kid can severely hurt your career, cause during his time on the show, he was in a ton of projects, either produced or developed by Disney, but the moment that the show was over, it was like he got do not hire just stamped on his forehead. Which is a shame, cause I saw some of the clips from Sharknado and it's surprisingly entertaining. Number 4. Emily Osment. Many fans of the show may believe Emily Osment got her start on the Disney sitcom, but she was actually a well-established actor well before that, starring as Gertie Giggles in the Spy Kids franchise. Remember those movies? I swear the pitch for that was just like, hey, kid in jetpack goes wee! She fell more into the mainstream though, thanks to her role as Hannah Montana's best friend in the world, Lily Truscott. The reason Emily is so far down on this list is because she is one of the few Hannah Montana stars who's still working to this day. That's right, I could not find 10 broke people to use for this list from the show because everyone was just so good at their jobs that they ended up doing stuff afterwards. Emily starred in sitcom after sitcom, even being the lead of her own between 2014 and 2018 called Young and Hungry. Emily currently spends her time, that's right, still on camera, and most recently she played a character named Chelsea on the sitcom Pretty Smart. While she may still only be in the world of TV, she seems to have found a nice home among the lights and cameras. Heck, she probably stays there where she films. I don't know, that bed on Young and Hungry did look pretty comfy. Free rent. Number 3. Billy Ray Cyrus. Billy Ray Cyrus. What a great name! It's 3 first names all in one, so you know that this guy is a country singer. Billy Ray is not only the fictional father of Hannah Montana, but he's actually her real life papa too. Billy Ray, and I do have to say that, not Billy. Billy Ray was a welcome addition to the cast of characters that made up Hannah's life, being a silly but grounded father figure who actually had a lot of wisdom to share with the young fans. Following the show's cancellation, Billy made the decision to focus on his music career instead of acting. Like, he appeared in a few movies here and there, but it was really his voice that got him back into the mainstream. Thanks to his vocal track on the song Old Town Road, as well as his appearance in the music video. You can find any and all songs from this man on Spotify, and good lord, I recommend you do so and blast it as loud as you can. Good old Billy Ray. Number 2. Dolly Parton. She tumbled out of bed and stumbled in the kitchen when she played the role of Hannah Montana's Aunt Dolly on the sitcom. First of all, this woman is in no way broke. She is a sweetheart with a theme park that is one of my personal favorites. It's jammed against the side of a mountain and it's in Tennessee, so nice. She made this list because she was on the show, she's worth mentioning, and to be honest, I ran out of unsuccessful people from the show to use. Everyone did really well in the world of acting. Now, we gotta mention Miss Parton because A, iconic character on the show, and B, cause I wanna! Her role as Miley's aunt on the show was incredibly well done. Despite Dolly basically playing herself, her character was often there to help Miley in times of struggle, and she delivered a lot of words of wisdom that not only helped her character, but that spread a really positive message to the audience as well. In the past few years, Dolly has been very active in the music world and has even ventured into the world of writing, releasing her first book called Run Rose Run that she co-wrote with James Patterson. She also released an album to go along with that book just as a little bonus. If you're lucky enough to spot her, she does apparently spend some of her personal time at that theme park, but she's not hidden on a ride like Johnny Depp, who I swear is there all the time. That thing looks way too real. And at number 1, Miley Cyrus. Taking the top spot on this list is Miley Cyrus because she is still the most famous cast member to ever come out of this sitcom. Starring, of course, as the titular Hannah Montana, Miley doubled as an actor and a musician. I can still hear the climb ringing in my skull anytime I walk up a hill. Her epic voice and talents as an actor nabbed her a sitcom that lasted over 5 years. But when the show was done, fans wanted to know where Miley was going next. Well, that question was answered in 2013 when she decided to show the world that she was no longer some goody two-shoes Disney girl, she was now a woman with her own free will, and she used that free will to swing on a wrecking ball in her birthday suit. And she started one of the most popular dance moves of the 21st century. And I still can't do it. Like, is it in the hips? What is Following the end of the series, she focused on her music career and stuck to it for quite some time. I'm not saying that she doesn't sing anymore, in fact she pumps out fresh tracks all the time. When it comes to the acting world, she's actually played herself in films and TV more often than anything. Sure, she's had some voiceover roles in movies like Bolt or Guardians of the Galaxy, yeah, that happened. But in films like The Night Before, Pop Star Never Stopping, she's just like a fictionalized, wilder version of herself. Who knows what she may pop in next?
Alright, number 10, Drake Bell, Drake and Josh, a sitcom that gifted us with some incredible one-liners and caused anyone named Megan to have their lives changed forever. Drake Bell and Josh Peck starred as the titular Drake and Josh for 4 seasons before being cancelled in 2008. Following the cancellation, the 3 main cast members, they all went on to have steady work for a short while. Miranda Cosgrove, who played Megan, had some success in voiceover and was given her own series iCarly before dropping out of the acting world in 2015. Josh Peck starred in a few movies and TV shows here and there, but has only recently made a return to mainstream, appearing in the new Christopher Nolan film Oppenheimer. Drake has probably had the worst go of the crew. When the show was cancelled, his roles were limited to straight-to-video flicks and voiceovers starring as Spider-Man in the animated Ultimate Spider-Man series. The worst performance of all, though, was when Nickelodeon thought it would be a great idea to make a live-action Fairly Odd Parents movie, I actually remember this, starring Drake as Timmy Turner. Needless to say, his status as a celebrity was gone at that point, but the nail was driven into the coffin in 2021 when Drake was sentenced to 2 years of probation and 200 hours of community service after it was revealed he'd been a young fan for years. So if you see him in an orange jumpsuit cleaning graffiti off the wall, you'll know why. Alright, Jamie Lynn Spears at her number 9 spot. Jamie starred as the title character Zoe in the hit series Zoe 101 alongside fellow entry on this list, Matthew Underwood. Her time on the show was well received and made many fans excited about what she may film next. When the show was eventually cancelled in 2008, Jamie was at the center of a massive media rumor. The theory was that Zoe 101 was abruptly cancelled due to Jamie becoming pregnant with her daughter. The reality was that never happened. Jamie did get pregnant, but it was 6 months after filming had wrapped on the series, so the show was cancelled by the executives at Nickelodeon. For some reason, they felt the show was done and needed to be replaced by something new and more fun. And Jamie actually did have plans to continue her career on the silver screen, but like we said, 6 months into looking for work, a new job opportunity opened up and it would be the most challenging of all, the role of a mother. She decided to move back to Mississippi and gave up her career in film to raise her kid and be a star to, the household. Now, it's not all missed opportunities, however, as Jamie is still remembered fondly as a musician, releasing several songs before 2010, and has recently been popping up at several country and rock festivals to lend her voice to the crowd, and many fans will be happy to know that not only there will be a Zoe 101 flick released on Paramount Plus this fall, but it stars the entire original cast, and a trailer is already out for us to enjoy. Perfect. Alright, number 8, Jake Paul. Jake Paul looted them all. News headline or Dr. Seuss title, I don't know, that's right. The famous YouTuber Jake Paul was briefly a Disney star in the early 2010s, appearing on a short-lived sitcom called Bizaardvark, and in 2020, Paul was involved in a looting that took place in Scottsdale, Arizona. A riot broke out in a mall, literally surrounded by police helicopters with lights and sirens, and Jake's reaction had people scrambling for their phones and cameras, but video footage was released by Paul himself, showcasing the events of the night. People were smashing windows and taking everything in sight, and while Paul posted a statement on Twitter claiming he had nothing to do with the riots and they were exclusively kind of observers of the event. But the video did show Jake intervening with looters in the mall, and of course groups were recognizing him almost immediately. And thankfully, the authorities stepped in to make their move on Jake, who told his fans, "No cap, that's tear gas, bro." Okay. Thank you. However, that was just the situation Disney needed to kind of finally fire the guy, according to Disney, and his reckless public behavior was very well known to them at the time, and there had been plans in place to simply address the issue and learn, but the following events in Scottsdale, well, kind of had no choice to cut ties with the performer immediately. He was charged with criminal trespassing, and his defense for the Scottsdale event was that he was documenting it as a, quote, public service. If I videotape my friend stealing a Star Wars mug from Hot Topic, is that also a public service? I don't know. Alright, number 7, Mitchell Musso. Mitch played Hannah Montana's best friend, Oliver Oaken, on the hit Disney sitcom Hannah Montana. When the show was coming to an end, he began dominating the Disney scene. He was cast to voice Jeremy and Phineas and Ferb, playing one of the Ritual Kings and Pair of Kings, and something called Hatching Pete, which I vaguely remember watching, but this one I'm pretty sure I've kind of repressed. Now, he seems to be on track to follow Demi Lovato as the next big thing to come from Disney, and people think that about Demi Lovato, right? Unfortunately, his career came to a screeching halt in 2011 when he was arrested in Burbank, California. He neglected to slow down after being directed to kind of do so by police and pull over. The report said the moment the window was rolled down, it was like a cloud of something just drop kicked them in the nostrils, and he blew a VAL of 0.8, which for those who don't know means he was kind of gone. He was also forced to participate in a adult juice educational program and charged with driving under the influence. Kind of standard, but needless to say, it doesn't really go with Disney's vibe. So he was recast on Pair of Kings. His prank show, it was canceled, and he was basically blacklisted from Disney entirely. He had also been attempting to start a music career, but that also just kind of nosedived into the toilet. Now, if you'd like to find Mitchell these days, just go download one of his old songs. You'll be the first to do in a while, and I'm sure he'll find you. Alright, at number 6 we have Orlando Brown. That's So Raven, another series considered to be a part of the golden years, also known as the early 2000s of Disney. It starred Raven Simone as the titular character who had the ability to briefly see the future via unprompted visions. Now, I swear every time I explain a plot to an old Disney show, I question who was on what when they were pitched. The show had a stellar supporting cast, including Raven's best friend Chelsea and Eddie, played by Annalise Vanderpool, and Orlando Brown. Orlando's time as Eddie was received well with audiences, and he quickly became a fan favorite for not only his comedic abilities, but dramatic ability as well. Now, after Raven wrapped up its final season, Orlando's career, it took a bit of a turn. Surprisingly, he was being cast as a small side character or secondary characters with minimal screen time, so he never really got a lead after the show. In 2022, he appeared on Dr. Phil's talk show and opened up about his struggles mentally and financially. He also shocked audiences with his new look, drenched in tattoos and sporting a pair of demon eye contacts. Now, unfortunately, it seems that Orlando has fallen victim to the darker side of Disney, and he was arrested for a misdemeanor as well after an altercation with his brother. Alright, number 5, Brenda Song. London Tipton. She was the daughter of the man behind the chains of Tipton hotels in the sitcom Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Brenda Song accepted the role right as she was about to start college. Little did she know the character would consume her life for the next 6 years. She appeared as London on both Zack and Cody and its reboot sequel, The Sweet Life on Deck, for a total of 6 seasons following the show's cancellation in 2011. Brenda starred in a few smaller roles in films like The Social Network, as well as TV shows in like Scandal, New Girl, and Superstore. Now, Brenda, she's still active in the acting community, just in a smaller capacity, as she's traded in her Disney fame for family fortune, starting a family with her boyfriend and fellow child star Macaulay Culkin. Now, Richie Rich and London Tipton have a child together, and that's not a show, or not even a reality show. Brenda is slowly making her return to the mainstream as well. However, she has recently starred in a few Netflix and Hulu series, including the comedy series Dollface, where Brenda claims to have rediscovered her passion for acting. And here's hoping that inspires Disney to make another Wendy Wu movie, maybe? If you don't know Wendy Wu, Homecoming Warrior, you need to look into that. Alright, number 4, Kel Mitchell. Welcome to Good Burger, home of Good Burger. Can I take your order? The sentence that always blasts into my skull when I talk about Kel Mitchell. Kel was another young buck to be cast on the hit show All That with Amanda Bynes and future best friend Kenan Thompson. Much like Amanda, Kel was asked to participate in a spin-off of All That, only this time a straight-up sitcom rather than more of a sketch show. And the show Kenan and Kel, starring Kel and Kenan Thompson, is one of my favorite that Disney Channel produced, and these two had incredible chemistry, and so good that Nickelodeon had a movie centered around them, Good Burger, that has actually aged pretty well, and his character never really took off after that, with him only appearing in that sitcom world and in a minimal capacity then. But his loss of fame was kind of self-inflicted as his career on screen slowed down. His family life has been nothing but up. He decided to stay at home and focused on building a relationship with his wife and rapper Asia Lee, and they are currently expecting a second child sometime this year. We're hoping that when the kids are a little older, Kel can get some time off and maybe make a return to the acting world. There was a rumor of a Good Burger 2 being in the works, so let's start that now. Hashtag Good Burger 2, make it a trend. All right, number 3, Josh Peck. Josh made up the second half of the series Drake and Josh alongside musician and bad boy Drake Bell. Josh got his start on the Amanda Bynes show alongside Amanda Bynes, participating in several classic sketches before eventually moving on to his own sitcom that is still considered to be one of the best Nickelodeon shows ever produced. Josh's time on the show, it was wonderful. He delivered a zany, big-hearted kind of brother vibe that went really well with Drake's rock and roll, I need love on the inside kind of character. And following the cancellation of the show, Josh went on to star in several silver screen showings like the underrated comedy Drill Bit Taylor starring Owen Wilson and the reboot of Red Dawn from 2012 alongside Chris Hemsworth. His career dipped in quality following that performance though. Josh was starting to seem like another Nickelodeon kid who was growing up to be rambunctious and wild instead of taking his job seriously. He lended his voice though to several characters over the years, including various roles in the Ice Age films, but has mainly stuck to small TV roles or independent flicks, and he did maintain a following. However, as of a few years ago, he started posting TikToks as well. Those received millions of views, and recently Josh has popped up on the cast list of Christopher Nolan's upcoming historical drama Oppenheimer. Perhaps this will mark his return to the acting world if it's in a movie like that. Now, he may be on the road to Oscar territory. All right, number 2, Amanda Bynes. Amanda, she got her lucky break on the Nickelodeon sketch series All That, essentially the Nickelodeon version of late night sketch show Saturday Night Live. It sported a stellar cast, including current SNL cast member Kenan Thompson, Drake Bell, and Lori Beth Denberg. Eventually, the producer decided to offer Amanda her own series. Her success only grew from there. The Amanda Bynes Show became one of Nickelodeon's most watched series, and she was picked up by several studios to star in non-Nickelodeon projects like She's the Man, Easy A, and Amanda took a hiatus, however, in 2013 following a very public breakdown. In 2018, she told fans exactly what caused this breakdown. Now, according to Amanda, she became addicted to the devil's lettuce at a young age. While it wasn't an addiction at first, more roles came more pressure and a kind of way to cope, and this eventually led her to more drastic substances. She also believed that she wasn't pretty enough anymore to be in films, and she took Adderall as a way to help her stay thin. In 2013, Amanda posted a series of bizarre tweets where she seemed to be insulting almost everyone she could think of. She called the former president Barack Obama ugly, clearly referring a character from the Amanda Show, but still. She was arrested and placed under psychiatric hold as she was accused of several hit and run incidents and was officially charged with reckless endangerment and criminal possession of some interesting herbs and spices. Her parents then placed her under a conservatorship until 2022 when she stood in front of a judge, healthier and better than ever, ready to move on with her life. The judge then said, okay, Amanda is free to go. Good luck, Amanda, then. Okay, there's a million kids who grew up with you, and we've got your back. All right, let's end things off with number 1, Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay is a Disney star who actually never really appeared in a sitcom or TV series. She got her start acting at just the age of 3, starring in over 60 TV spots and commercials for brands like Gap, Pizza Hut, and Jell-O. She got her big break when Disney cast her to play 2 roles in the classic Disney family comedy, The Parent Trap. She played twin sisters Hallie Parker and Annie James, who randomly met at a summer camp and discovered their parents split up when they were babies following a divorce. The twins then hatch a plot to get mom and dad back together, and it's delightful, one of my favorites. Her career, though, only seemed to rise from there, starring in several cult classics like Freaky Friday with Jamie Lee Curtis and Mean Girls as the main character Katie Heron. Unfortunately, her career took a step in the wrong direction when she was arrested in 2007 for driving under the influence of a controlled substance, for which she served 84 minutes in jail. Yep, minutes. Some people spend years in jail. Lindsay, she got a warning there. Until 2022, her career kind of came to an abrupt standstill, but she not only seems to be better mentally, she's also under contract with the streaming giant Netflix to release a few rom-com flicks over the next couple years. So maybe her and Adam Sandler will make a Netflix multiverse. Now, I don't know how I'd feel about that, but we'll see where it goes.
Number 10, Kel Mitchell. Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order? That sentence always blasts into my skull when I talk about Kel Mitchell, and I really hope it's the same for you. Kel was another young buck to be casted on the hit sketch show All That with Amanda Bynes and future best friend Kenan Thompson. Much like Amanda, Kel was asked to participate in a spin-off of All That, only this time he was in a straight-up sitcom rather than a sketch show. The show Kenan and Kel, starring Kel and Kenan Thompson, it's one of my favorite shows that was ever produced by the Nickelodeon channel. These two had incredible chemistry, so good that Nick backed a movie centered around their Good Burger sketch that has actually aged pretty well. His career never really took off after that, with him only appearing in the sitcom world and in a minimal capacity at that. But his loss of fame was self-inflicted. As his career on the screen slowed down, his family life had been nothing but going up. He decided to stay at home and focus on building a relationship with his wife and rapper, Asia Lee, and they are currently expecting a second child together sometime this year. Here's hoping that when the kids are all a little older that Kel can finally take some time off and make a return to the acting world for good. There was a rumor of a Good Burger 2 being in the works, so I don't know, let's start that now. Everybody, hashtag Good Burger 2, make that trend. Number 9, Miranda Cosgrove. Miranda may have rose to Nickelodeon stardom when she played the titular Carly on the show iCarly, but she got her first big role starring alongside Jack Black in the classic comedy School of Rock. During her time with Nickelodeon, she not only played Carly, but she also played the mischievous little sister Megan in the sitcom Drake and Josh. There's a neat little fan theory about that, but I won't get into it right now. Following the end of iCarly, Miranda seemed to disappear from the world of acting entirely, apart from lending her voice to the character Margot in the Despicable Me franchise. The reason being is she decided to go back to school. She used her iCarly cash to fund a degree at the University of Southern California, where she initially took film studies, but eventually shifted her focus to a major in psychology. She put her talents on pause, but following her graduation and her recent return to sitcom world, iCarly was revived for Paramount Plus last year. She's still not famous per se, but it is cool to see Miranda on screen again after so many years away. Number 8, Drake Bell. Drake and Josh. A sitcom that gifted us with some incredible one-liners and caused anyone named Megan to have their name screeched in their face in frustration. Megan! Drake Bell and Josh Peck starred as the titular Drake and Josh for 4 seasons before being cancelled in 2008. Following the cancellation, the 3 main cast members all went on to have semi-steady work, for a short while at least. Miranda Cosgrove, who we just talked about, played Megan and had some success in voiceovers, but she got her own sitcom and then dropped out of the acting world in 2015. Josh Peck starred in a few movies and TV shows here and there, but he's only recently made a return to the mainstream, appearing in the new Christopher Nolan film Oppenheimer. Drake has probably had the worst go of the crew. When the show was cancelled, his roles were limited to straight-to-video flicks and voiceover roles, starring as Spider-Man in the animated Ultimate Spider-Man series. The worst performance of all, though, was when Nickelodeon thought that it would be a great idea to make a live-action Fairly Odd Parents movie starring Drake as Timmy Turner. Berries! Needless to say, his status as a celebrity was gone at that point, but the nail was driven into the coffin in 2021 when Drake was sentenced to 2 years of probation and 200 hours of community service after it was revealed that he had been grooming a young fan for years. So if you see him in an orange jumpsuit on the side of the road or like cleaning graffiti off a wall, now you know why. Number 7, Amanda Bynes. Amanda got her lucky break on the Nickelodeon sketch series All That, which was essentially Nickelodeon's version of the late-night sketch show Saturday Night Live. It sported a stellar cast, including current SNL cast member Kenan Thompson, Drake Bell, and Lori Beth Denberg. Eventually, the producer decided to offer Amanda her own series. Her success only grew from there. The Amanda Bynes Show became one of Nickelodeon's most watched series, and she was picked up by several studios to star in non-Nickelodeon projects, like She's the Man and Easy A. Amanda took a hiatus, however, in 2013 following a very public mental breakdown. In 2018, she told fans exactly what caused that breakdown. According to Amanda, she became addicted to the devil's lettuce at a very young age, and while it wasn't an addiction at first, with more roles came more pressure, and a need to find a new way to cope. This eventually led her to more drastic substances. She also believed that she wasn't pretty enough anymore to be in films, even taking Adderall as a way to help keep her skinny. In 2013, Amanda posted a series of bizarre tweets where she seemed to be insulting almost everyone that she could think of, like she called the former President Barack Obama ugly. Like she's clearly referencing a character from The Amanda Show, but Still, she was arrested and placed under psychiatric hold as she was accused of several hit-and-run incidents and was officially charged with reckless endangerment and criminal possession of herbs and spices. Her parents then placed her under a conservatorship until 2022 when she stood in front of a judge, healthier and better than ever and ready to move on with her life. The judge said, okay, and Amanda is now free to live. So good luck, Amanda. There's a million kids who grew up with you, and we've all got your back. Number 6, Dan Schneider. Dan was never a star on camera other than a small role in the movie Good Burger, but without this man, we may not have a lot of beloved TV shows. Dan was a producer behind some of the biggest shows Nickelodeon had to offer, shows like Kenan and Kel, Drake and Josh, iCarly, Zoe 101, all classics that may have never been set to film without Dan at the helm. While Dan was producing well into the late 2010s, his career abruptly ended in 2018 when allegations were brought to light alleging that Dan's behavior over the years was anything but wholesome. According to several set and cast members who've worked with Dan in the past, Dan has a massive temper that would regularly disrupt shoots, he's caused production delays on his own, ballooned the budgets of all of his shows, and there were several complaints about his verbal insults, reportedly emailing and texting cast and crew to complain about things during off hours. Like, hey man, I'm trying to watch Too Hot to Handle, can we just save this till tomorrow? The worst of them all, and what really got him fired, was the way that he was towards his younger cast. I won't go too far into detail because I would probably vomit on camera if I did, but let's just say that Dan is creepy creep who likes dem feet. Put it that way. Thankfully, he's been fired and will never make another penny off of that channel ever again. Number 5, Devin Werkheiser. You may not know Devin by his name, but his face certainly rings a middle school bell in your skull. Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide first premiered in September 2004. For those who missed out on this gem, it followed the titular Ned as he guided us through the daily struggles of attending middle school. It was an instant hit and I personally watched every episode that they ever made. I basically grew up with this guy. After 3 seasons of the show, it was cancelled, leaving its cast to fend for themselves and find new work. Most of the younger cast members on the show decided to step away from the acting world, with Lindsay Shaw, who played Mose, being the only one with steady work, albeit in like low budget films, but still, it's work, and she's been doing that ever since the show ended. Now, Devin could have had a stellar career, but he said in recent years that following the end of the show, he just had no idea what he was supposed to do next. Devin was 15 when the show finished, and between then and the age of 25, he said he never really found his footing as an actor, always being called back for things but never actually hired. In his mid-20s, the residuals from Ned's finally ran out, forcing him to take his first ever 9-to-5 job. This was the wake-up call that he needed though, as he was finally motivated to do more, and thanks to many fans who were now adults DMing him and asking him when the next Ned's College or Adult Guide would be released. Well, Devin has begun doing a series of lectures across the United States in college and university campuses in an attempt to give advice on the wild world of adulthood. He's also begun a podcast with his co-stars Lindsay Shaw and Daniel Curtis Lee, who played Mose and Cookie, where the three break down behind the scenes facts about every episode of the show. So if you want a little bit of Ned's Declassified nostalgia, then check that out. Number 4, Matthew Underwood. Matthew played the rich boy with the puka necklace, Logan, on the hit series Zoe 101. The show followed the titular Zoe as she started her life at a new private boarding school, where wild and wacky situations ensue. The show gifted us some highly quotable lines and memorable moments that have surely stuck in your head since the show's cancellation in 2008. Matthew played a mean jock on the show, but his character had a lovable side that quickly won fans over. When the show ended, his life started going down a dark path. He found himself involved in some legal troubles after being caught in possession of a controlled substance, devil's lettuce, for which he received 12 months probation. He violated that probation when he entered a hookah bar, which he co-owned, in St. Lucille called Cloud 9. His criminal history was brief, but it was enough to get him blacklisted from the acting world. There is a nice ending to this story, however. After laying low and working on his mental health, Matthew actually ended up rescuing a baby from a crashed car, along with both parents who had allegedly on warm needle juice. This act not only saved the baby, but a judge ruled that the parents were unfit, and the child was given to a family member, and they're living happily ever after thanks to Logan. Matt is currently working behind the screen as a director on short films and indie projects, so hey, if you see that Zoe 101 reboot in the future, he's ready to go. Number 3, Jamie Lynn Spears. Continuing on the Zoe 101 train for a minute, Jamie starred as the titular Zoe in the hit series Zoe 101, alongside fellow entry on this list, Matthew Underwood. Her time on the show was well received and made many fans excited about what she may film next. When the show was eventually cancelled in 2008, Jamie was at the center of a massive media rumor. The theory was that Zoe 101 was abruptly cancelled due to Jamie becoming pregnant with her daughter. The reality was that never happened. Jamie did get pregnant, but it was like 6 months after filming had wrapped on the series. The show was cancelled by the executives at Nickelodeon. For some reason, they felt that the show was done and just needed to replace it with something new and more colorful. Jamie actually did have plans to continue her career on the silver screen, but like we said, 6 months into looking for new work, a new job opportunity opened up, and it would be the most challenging job of all: the role of being a mom. She decided to move back to Mississippi and give up a career in film to raise her kid and be a star to her. It's not all missed opportunities, however, as Jamie is still remembered fondly as a musician, releasing several songs before 2010, and she's recently been popping up at several country and rock festivals to lend her voice to the crowd. Many fans will be happy to know that not only will there be a Zoe 101 flick released on Paramount Plus this fall, but it stars the entire original cast, and there's a trailer already out for us to enjoy. Number 2, Josh Peck. Josh made up the second half of the series Drake and Josh alongside musician and bad boy Drake Bell. Josh got his start on the Amanda Bynes Show alongside Amanda Bynes, participating in several classic sketches before eventually moving into his own sitcom. Still considered to be one of the best shows that Nickelodeon ever produced. Josh's time on the show was wonderful. He delivered a zany, big-hearted brother vibe that went really well with Drake's rock and roll, I need love inside attitude. Following the cancellation of the show, Josh went on to star in several silver screen darlings like the underrated comedy Drillbit Taylor alongside Owen Wilson and the reboot of Red Dawn from 2012 alongside Chris Hemsworth. His career dipped in quality following that performance, however. Josh was starting to seem like another one of those Nickelodeon kids who was growing up to be a rambunctious and wild man instead of actually taking his job seriously. He lended his voice to several characters over the years, including various roles in the Ice Age films, but he's mainly stuck to small TV roles or indie flicks. He did maintain a following, however, as a few years ago he started posting TikToks that received millions of views. But recently, Josh has popped up on the cast list for Christopher Nolan's upcoming historical drama Oppenheimer, so perhaps this will mark his return to the acting world, and if it's in a flick like this, well, he might be on the road to Oscar territory. And at number 1, Nat Wolff. Nat Wolff and his brother Alex were the stars of the short-lived Nickelodeon series The Naked Brothers Band that premiered in 2007 following the success of the original Nickelodeon movie of the same name. When the show ended, Nat decided to move on from the on-screen world and focus on his career in music with his brother Alex. He did, however, make a handful of appearances in romantic dramedies like Paper Towns and Fault in Our Stars. Unfortunately, he took a role that he probably shouldn't have in 2017 when he played the character Light in the Netflix live-action adaptation of the anime series Death Note. In case you didn't know, the anime originated in Japan and stars Japanese voice actors. There is not a single actor of Japanese origin in the live-action flick, and Nat's performance was seen as nothing more than another example of Hollywood whitewashing for streaming services. He received a large amount of backlash from fans of the show and dropped out of the acting scene overnight. It wasn't until this past year that he reappeared on the small screen. Nat has been cast to play the love interest to Joe Exotic, Trevor, in the Peacock series Joe vs. Carol, a show based on the popular Netflix docuseries Tiger King. While that show hasn't really garnered the popularity that it really should, seeing Nat make a return to the scene is awesome. And as a fan of his show back in the day, I am hoping he collaborates with Alex for a horror film. After seeing Alex star in the 2017 horror pick Hereditary, it's like the only thing I can think about when I see these two. Number 10, Brenda Song. London Tipton was the daughter of the man behind the chain of Tipton Hotels in the sitcom Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Brenda Song accepted the role right as she was about to start college. Little did she know that character would consume her life for the next 6 years. She appeared as London on both Zack and Cody and its reboot sequel series, Sweet Life on Deck, for a total of 6 seasons. Following the show's cancellation in 2011, Brenda starred in a few smaller roles in films like The Social Network, as well as TV roles in shows like Scandal, New Girl, and Superstore. Brenda is still active in the acting community, just in a smaller capacity, as she's traded traded in her Disney fame for family fortune, starting a family with her boyfriend and fellow child star Macaulay Culkin. Dude, Richie Rich and London Tipton have a child together, and that's not a TV show? Brenda is slowly making her return to the mainstream, however, as she's recently starred in a few Netflix and Hulu series, including the comedy series Dollface, where Brenda claims to have rediscovered her passion for acting. Here's hoping it inspires Disney to make another Wendy Wu movie. And if you don't know Wendy Wu Homecoming Warrior, well, that's fair. Number 9. Shia LaBeouf. Shia has been a controversial celebrity over the years, becoming famous as one of the hardest people to work with in Hollywood history. Like many bad apples in LA, Shia got his start on the Disney Channel. At the turn of the century, Disney released a little show called The Even Stevens. The series followed the titular Stevens family with a focus on the kids, Ren and Louis, played by Christy Romano and Shia LaBeouf. The show is considered to be one of Disney's best, spanning 3 seasons and spawning an Even Stevens movie that is one of the greatest pieces of cinema ever released. These days, Shia has adopted a more mountain man look, always sprouting like a big bushy beard when he can, and he's gone from bright and youthful to just tired and annoyed. And we feel that, Shia. We really feel that. Following the show's end, Shia kept his acting career going strong, appearing in the much-loved classic Holes as main character Stanley Yelnats, but it wasn't until his casting in the live-action Transformers series that he really began to descend into madness. Since 2007, Shia's behavior as both an actor and a person have been getting worse and worse. His fellow actors have reported that Shia takes method acting way too far and just smells terrible on set, not to mention the several public art displays that he gifted the world in the mid-2010s. Oh, and who could forget his passionate motivational video where he just told us that nothing was impossible and just do it! While he may still be working today, his reputation as a celebrity has certainly shifted from A-list to the no-thank-you list. Number 8. Ashley Tisdale. Ashley was making a big name for herself in the Disney world after starring as Candy Girl Maddie on the sitcom Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Her character is considered to be one of the main reasons that show worked in the first place, so it was surprising to see her suddenly vanish from the acting world in the early 2010s, following the end of the High School Musical trilogy as well as her time with the Sweet Life crew. After leaving Disney briefly to film a few raunchy comedies, including the 5th entry in the Scary Movie franchise, she disappeared and fans were confused. Where's Sharpay? Well, turns out she decided to focus on her personal life, and she tied the knot with musician Christopher French in 2014. After building a solid foundation in her relationship, she shifted her focus to a different style of art in the form of cosmetics. Ashley launched the brand Illuminate Cosmetics, as well as a wellness blog called French, which led to her personal care brand called Being French. While she may have lost her name in the Disney sense, she's rebuilt a solid career for herself in other aspects and is actually set to make a small return to the acting world in a new series for CBS called Brutally Honest, loosely based on Ashley's own life. Well, I'm gonna be brutally honest with you, I am watching that show for sure. Number 7. Orlando Brown. That's So Raven. Another series considered to be a part of the golden years, aka the early 2000s of Disney, starred Raven Simone as the titular character, who has the ability to briefly see into the future via unprompted visions. I swear, every time I explain a plot to an old Disney show, I just question like, why did I like this? Who pitched this? The show had a stellar supporting cast, including Raven's best friend Chelsea and Eddie, played by Annalise Vanderpool and Orlando Brown. Orlando's time as Eddie was received well with audiences, and he quickly became a fan favorite for not only his comedic abilities, but his dramatic ability as well. After Raven wrapped up its final season, Orlando's career took a bit of a turn. Surprisingly, he was being casted as small side characters or secondary characters with minimum screen time in film and TV. In 2022, he appeared on Dr. Phil's talk show, opened up about his struggles mentally and financially. He also shocked audiences with his new look. He was drenched in tattoos and sporting a pair of demon eye contacts. Unfortunately, it seems that Orlando has fallen victim to the darker side of Disney, as he was arrested for a misdemeanor after an altercation with his brother. Number 6. Mitchell Musso. Mitch played Hannah Montana's best friend Oliver Oaken on the hit Disney sitcom Hannah Montana. When the show was coming to an end, he began dominating the Disney scene, being casted to voice Jeremy in Phineas and Ferb, playing one of the titular kings in the show Pair of Kings, and he was in something called Hatching Pete, which I vaguely remember watching, but I'm pretty sure it's one of those movies that I have like a repressed memory for. He seemed to be on the same track as Demi Lovato as the next big thing to come from Disney. People think that about Demi Lovato, right? Unfortunately, his career came to a screeching halt in 2011 when he was arrested in Burbank, California. He neglected to slow down after being directed by police, and the report said that the moment the window was rolled down, it was like a cloud of no-no juice just drop-kicked him in the nostrils. He blew a BLA of 0.8, which for those of you who don't know means that he was absolutely hammy, bud. He was arrested, forced to participate in a no-no juice educational program, and charged with driving under the influence. Needless to say, that doesn't really go with Disney's vibe. He was recasted on Pair of Kings, his prank show was cancelled, and he was basically blacklisted from Disney entirely. He had also been attempting to start a music career, but that just nosedived into a toilet. If you'd like to find Mitchell these days, just download one of his old songs. You'll be the first one to do it in a while. I'm sure he'll find you. Number 5. Jake Paul. The headline here sounds like a Dr. Seuss title. Jake Paul looted them all. That's right, the famous YouTuber Jake Paul was briefly a Disney star in the early 2010s, appearing on a short-lived sitcom called Bizaardvarks. In 2020, Paul was involved in a looting that took place in Scottsdale, Arizona. A riot broke out in a mall, literally surrounded by police helicopters with lights and sirens, and Jake's reaction? Oh man, we gotta get the cameras, let's go! Video footage was released by Paul himself, showcasing the events of the night. People were smashing windows and taking everything in sight. While Paul posted a statement on Twitter claiming that he had nothing to do with the riots, and they were there exclusively as observers, the video did show Jake interviewing looters in the mall, and of course groups were recognizing him almost immediately. Thankfully, the authorities stepped in to make their move on Jake, who told his fans, "No cap, that's tear gas, bro." Yeah, how is that English? However, that was just the situation Disney needed to finally fire this guy. According to Disney, Jake's reckless public behavior was very well known to them at the time. There had been plans in place to simply address the issue and to learn from it, but following the events in Scottsdale, they had no choice but to just cut ties with the performer immediately. He was charged with criminal trespassing, and while Jake's videos may still rack up millions of views online, he's certainly no celebrity anymore. His defense for the Scottsdale event was that he was documenting it as a quote public service. Well, okay, if I videotape my friend stealing a Star Wars mug from a Hot Topic, is that also a public service? Number 4. Jennifer Stone. Another Wizards of Waverly Place co-star, Jennifer Stone is just another one of those people to lose their fame overnight, but it wasn't due to anything outlandish. Jennifer played the best friend to Selena Gomez's Alex Russo, Harper Finkel, on Wizards of Waverly Place. Harper was a bubbly and eccentric character, usually wearing some kind of elaborate dress made from something that just shouldn't be a dress. She played the role so well that the writers decided to make her and Alex live together in the later seasons to give Stone as much screen time as possible. Following the cancellation of the show, she was swooped up by another channel that I'm apparently not supposed to say the name of, but it rhymes with Nickelodeon, and was casted as the babysitter slash narrator on the show Dead Time Stories. Good old-fashioned horror shows aimed at kids. Huh? Yeah. Are you afraid of the dark, anybody? Huh? Unfortunately, that show seemed to be her last, as following the final season, she's remained fairly aloof from the public eye, appearing in small budget flicks, but she mostly stays at home and takes care of her mental and physical health. Jennifer was diagnosed with diabetes in 2017 and has been participating in public outreach programs ever since. You go, Finkel! Number 3. Ricky Ullman. He was Phil of the future, keeping it together just as best as we can. Sorry, that show had the catchiest theme song of all time. You may recognize Ricky as the face of the hit show Phil of the Future, following the titular Phil and his family struggling to adjust to the year 2000 after their time machine breaks down in the wrong destination. That's right, if you thought the DeLorean from Back to the Future was strange, these guys built their time machine into an RV. If you're gonna build a time machine, why not do it in style? The show was loved, but it was cut short after only 2 seasons on air, meaning that Ricky was just 19 when he was suddenly out of steady work. In an interview with Insider Magazine, he said that he regrets the way he handled the situation back then. The reality was Ricky didn't know how to navigate the world of Hollywood, as he got the role of Phil because he was pressured into attending an audition. He appeared in a few small projects following the show's cancellation, even making an appearance on the hit comedy series Broad City. But nowadays, Ricky just sits in a chair next to his phone waiting for that call to hopefully come. Reboot time, baby. Number 2. Christy Romano. Christy was Disney's go-to girl in the early 2000s, after breaking onto the scene starring as Ren Stevens in the legendary sitcom The Even Stevens. While she may have starred alongside future Transformers star and maniac Shia LaBeouf, it was Christy that stole the show. She played the character effortlessly for 3 seasons before being tapped to lend her voice to another Disney icon. Christy provided the voice of the animated super spy Kim Possible. Following the cancellation of that series in 2011, Romano actually used her new fortune to attend film school and study what goes on behind the scenes. Romano has remained outside the acting world since that time, apart from a starring role on Broadway as Belle in Beauty and the Beast in 2018. Her most recent venture is that of a YouTube blogger, now chronicling her day-to-day life as a mom. She may not be famous anymore, but she will certainly go down as one of the Disney Channel's greatest. And at number 1, Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay is a Disney star who actually never appeared in a sitcom or a TV series. She got her start acting at just the age of 3. Starring in over 60 TV spots and commercials from brands like Gap, Pizza Hut, and Jell-O, she got her big break when Disney casted her to play 2 roles in the classic family comedy Parent Trap. She played twin sisters Hallie Parker and Annie James, who randomly meet at a summer camp and discover their parents split them up when they were babies following a divorce. The twins then hatch a plot to get mom and dad back together, and it's really just a delightful movie. Her career only seemed to rise from there, starring in several cult classics like Freaky Friday with Jamie Lee Curtis and Mean Girls as the main character, Katie Heron. Unfortunately, her career took a step in the wrong direction when she was arrested in 2007 for driving under the influence of a controlled substance, for which she served only 84 minutes in jail. Yep, minutes. Some people spend years in jail for less, but Lindsay got a warning. Until 2022, her career was at an abrupt standstill, but she not only seems to be better mentally speaking, but she's also under a new contract with the streaming giant Netflix to release a few rom-com flicks over the next couple of years. So maybe her and Adam Sandler will make like a Netflix multiverse. I don't know how I feel about that.
At number 10, Lindsay Lohan. Yet another former child star who is addicted to fame is none other than Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay grew up in the spotlight, so really she doesn't know anything else, and the fact that she's not as relevant as she once was has caused her to want to hold on to that fame as much as she can. When she started off in Hollywood, she was a model and actress, making hit film after hit film. From The Parent Trap to Freaky Friday to Mean Girls, Lindsay was crushing it in Hollywood until about 2006. After that, things started going downhill. Soon the only headlines that she was making had to do with her substance abuse and DUIs, but for her, any publicity was good publicity because it kept people talking, and that's what she lived for. Now that she's cleaned herself up a bit, not many people are talking about Lindsay anymore, and that seems to be a problem. From time to time, the actress would make headlines for something shocking like trying to kidnap refugee children and claim to have been racially profiled at an airport, and these things would get people talking once again, though it isn't always positive. This fame addiction makes you do crazy things to keep you in the spotlight. At number 9, Sahar Tabar. Internet celebrity Sahar Tabar fooled the internet into thinking that she had a botched appearance because she wanted to look like Angelina Jolie. What people didn't know is that her appearance was digitally altered to get that shocking look that she was known for. It all started with one post that shocked the internet, and from that point she continued posting more and more shocking images of her zombie Angelina look. The more her posts circulated on the internet and went viral, the more she fed into this character that she created for herself. Everything was built off a lie, but that didn't matter to her because she became famous and addicted to that fame. She was eventually arrested for what she was posting online and went to jail for it, so that just shows how this fame addiction can go horribly wrong. Sometimes fame can bring out the worst in people. Now before I carry on with the list, I would like to ask you guys to consider leaving a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, because it really helps to support the channel. At number 8, Madonna. Madonna has been around for a while now, and somehow she's been able to hold on to that fame. I'm not saying somehow as in she's not talented enough to stay relevant, but I mean it in the sense that so many celebrities have faded into obscurity in the time that she's been around. Why is that? Well, some people say that she has an addiction to fame. Madonna rose to fame in the 80s and 90s, and since then she's evolved quite a bit. Her music isn't necessarily the same as it once was, but that's a good thing for someone like her. A lot of the time, musical artists will stay within their specific sound, and though it's great for those first starting out and climbing the charts, it's not so great when that specific sound or image isn't trendy anymore. For the most part, Madonna has been able to adapt to our ever-evolving trends, and when all else fails, you cause a scandal like when she kissed Britney Spears at the VMAs back in the day. Madonna knows how to finesse to keep herself afloat in Hollywood, and that's good for her. At number 7, Trisha Paytas. YouTuber Trisha Paytas is one celebrity who refuses to be anything but famous. They've been an internet personality since the very conception of YouTube and really hasn't looked back since. They're one of the richest YouTubers on the platform, as was exposed in a recent story from BuzzFeed, but with all of that success comes the backlash that they've faced, and even though it's been ugly at times, there still doesn't seem to be any signs of stopping for them. When you look back at all the controversies and scandals Trisha has been part of, in the past Trisha has been infused with the Vlog Squad, Gabby Hanna, the D'Amelios, Ethan Klein, and so many more creators. On top of that, Trisha has faced backlash for disrespecting the DID community, and the trans community has also been hurt by Trisha's remarks as well. Even through all the drama, Trisha still comes out and continues being online as though nothing happened, and many believe that it's because of their addiction to fame. In the past, Trisha has said that throughout her 20s, they tried to be on as many shows as possible looking for fame, so we know that this is something that attracts attacks Trisha. They may never leave the platform, but they're probably more than okay with that. At number 6, Jake Paul. I think we're all familiar with how bold Jake Paul can be. He's pretty unapologetic when it comes to his actions, and he does some pretty wild things. Recently, he's begun a boxing career, and he talks a lot of smack when leading up to a fight. In the past, he's trolled his opponents online and has made public remarks about those he's looking to fight, and he's ruffled quite a few feathers online. This could be enough of an argument to say that he likes attention, but also take into consideration the fact that he also grew up into fame, starting out on Vine back in the day, and later bridging over to the Disney Channel where he gained a following from acting. He's racked up a number of supporters, and it seems like this fame has gone to his head, as former professional boxer Mike Tyson has even commented on Jake's quote, ego addiction. In an interview, Tyson said, quote, "There's something wrong with him," end quote. He's also commented on how different Jake is from other boxers because he cares more about the notoriety than the money that comes with these matches. So I think it's confirmed. Jake Paul is addicted to fame, and everyone knows it. At number 5, Chrissy Teigen. In recent weeks, Chrissy Teigen has been facing backlash ever since she was exposed for having cyberbullied Courtney Stodden back in the day. Leaked DMs and past tweets exposed how mean Chrissy was to Courtney, and as a result, Chrissy was cancelled, but since then, it seems as though Chrissy has been feeding off this bad publicity to keep her name in the media, or so people think. For the past few weeks, Chrissy has been riding the cancellation train, commenting on how unfair it is that she's facing the unrelenting wrath of the internet for some time now because of her drama with Courtney, and some people have started to catch on to the fact that every time she complains about how people aren't really the biggest fan of her right now, it makes a headline. Just recently, Courtney Stodden commented on the situation with Chrissy saying, quote, "I think that continuing to gripe about cancel club or whatever that is, I think step out, take your part, and maybe do something with charities," end quote. This was in response to the fact that Chrissy keeps on, quote, "looking for sympathy because of her cancelled status." It looks like Chrissy is feeding off her cancellation to maintain her fame in a way which is a little backwards, but seems to be working in its own bizarre way. At number 4, James Charles. You would think that after having the internet cancel you so many times that you would just take the L and leave, but not YouTuber James Charles, which has led to people believing that he's just in it for the fame. Over his time online, James has landed himself in a number of pretty serious scandals. There was a whole Bi-Sister scandal of 2019 that saw the YouTuber lose millions of followers overnight. There's been the numerous allegations of misconduct against James, and with his recent slew of misconduct allegations, he's lost his hugely successful collaboration with Morphe Cosmetics, and his YouTube channel faced demonetization as well. After all the hits James has taken over the last few years, with all of the backlash he's faced and everything he's lost, how is he still around? Well, people think that he's just too addicted to the rush that comes with internet fame to step back now. For a lot of people, bad publicity is still good publicity even if it taints your reputation, because at least people are still talking about you. James still has a pretty big fan base, but he loses thousands of supporters with every scandal he's in. Do you think there will ever come a time where James throws in the towel, or do you think he's in too deep? At number 3, Charli and Dixie D'Amelio. Charli and Dixie D'Amelio are some of the biggest influencers on TikTok, and they seem to be absolutely obsessed with their own fame. They're teenagers who grew up on the internet and have been exposed to fame at a young age, making it so that their growing follower count gives them some sort of rush. This is at least what psychologists believe when it comes to young people online, saying that this fame addiction is going to greatly affect kids in the future. They say that because these kids are so addicted to fame at such a young age, that in the long run they won't have a solid grip on reality when they enter deeper into adulthood, and that could prove troublesome. So not only are these guys addicted, but they're melting their brains at the same time, more or less. At number 2, Joe Exotic. After rising to fame with the release of the Tiger King documentary, Joe Exotic has been basking in his newfound notoriety even from behind bars. Even though Joe was the talk of the town for a couple months back in 2020, Joe has been trying to hold on to whatever fame he has left and is trying to use that to get himself out of prison. Joe was sentenced to a life behind bars after plotting to end the life of his rival Carole Baskin and also animal endangerment. But after all that, Joe still tried to reach out to his fans, sending messages to them from in prison and even giving interviews from behind bars. We know from the documentary that Joe had always been searching for fame. He put himself out there with his music career, his web series, and even the fact that he tried to get picked up for a reality show. So finally, when his time in the spotlight came, Joe just didn't want to let it go. No one is really talking about the Tiger King anymore other than Joe himself, showing us that once he got a taste for fame, he got hooked and is not letting go. And finally, at number 1, Kim Kardashian. Kim Kardashian is one of the most famous people in the world. She went from being Paris Hilton's assistant to being a billionaire celebrity / influencer. You can always catch Kim on social media, making waves in the news, and everyone wanted to keep up with the Kardashians at one point. But there's a dark side to all this that Kanye West revealed in an interview where he commented on how Kim is addicted to fame. When he brought up the idea that Kim was a little too caught up in her own fame, Kim in response said, quote, I do agree that fame can be addictive, and it took me a long time to recognize how lost you can become when you put too much focus on it. People often ask me, money or fame? My focus has always been on success, and with success comes money." End quote. Kim also went on to say that at the beginning of her career she felt more strongly about fame, saying that back then she equated fame with success, but she claims to have a very different view on things now, being more focused on money than social status.
At number 10, Billie Eilish. In recent years, singer Billie Eilish has been seeing a lot of success coming her way. After rising to fame in 2015 with her song Ocean Eyes, Billie has since gone on to become an award-winning artist, winning 7 Grammy Awards, 2 American Music Awards, 2 MTV Europe Music Awards, and 1 Brit Award, 3 MTV Music Awards, and an NRJ Award. But with all of this fame comes a lot of pressure, and because she's gained massive fame at such a young age, Billie has struggled with it, even regretting her fame at times. Back in 2019, Billie did an interview where she talked about her life in the public eye and how her career and fame has affected her life, and she spoke out about how there wasn't much in the world that brought her peace, saying that though her life is fun and exciting, she doesn't have much sense of calm in her life. When asked about her sudden rise to fame, Billie spoke out about how her fame has had such a huge impact on her childhood, where she said, quote, "I don't mean this in necessarily a negative way, but I sort of lost my teenage years because this all started when I was 13. There was no training, there's no like, let me go to a school that teaches me how to be famous," end quote. It was almost like she was thrown into the deep end before learning how to swim, and she spent the majority of her teen years navigating through all of that, which must have been so tough for someone so young to do. At number 9, FKA Twigs. Singer FKA Twigs has had her ups and downs in the media. She rose to fame through her music, but people also know her for her high-profile relationships that she's been in. The singer was previously in a relationship with actor Shia LaBeouf, and she was recently in the news after she filed a lawsuit against the actor, alleging that he hurt her several times throughout their relationship. But before this high-profile relationship, she was dating Twilight star Robert Pattinson, and this caused her to gain a lot of attention. Because Robert had such a huge following, some of the attention rubbed off on Twigs, and a lot of that attention was negative. In an interview in 2015, the singer spoke out about her experience with fame in regards to her relationship, and she said that she was struggling with the public's perception of her. As soon as they went public with their relationship, Twigs found herself under a spotlight that she wasn't ready for, and when speaking on this, she said, quote, "It's really hard. I can't begin to explain how awful it is. It makes you want to stop everything sometimes. It makes you want to smash your face into the mirror," end quote. Though she was struggling with the public eye, she did however say that it was worth it because she loved Robert so much. Now before I carry on with the list, I'd like to ask you guys to consider leaving a like on this video if you are enjoying it so far, and also consider taking some time to check out my gaming channel Viper Girl if gameplay content is something that you might enjoy. I upload every single day over there, so come check it out and maybe subscribe while you're there. At number 8, Harrison Ford. We all know Harrison Ford as the incredible actor who played Indiana Jones and Han Solo. Harrison Ford rose to fame through portraying these iconic characters, but apparently all of the fame he's received is something that Harrison himself isn't really a fan of. Turns out the actor hates being famous. In a 2010 interview, Harrison spoke out about his rocky relationship with fame, saying how greatly it has affected his life and in such a negative way. The actor said that his celebrity status has cost him his privacy in his life, saying, quote, "There's nothing good about being famous. You always think, if I'm successful, then I'll have opportunities. You never figure the cost of fame will be a total loss of privacy. That's incalculable," end quote. The actor also talked about how unrealistic the expectations of fame are, saying, quote, "What a burden that is for anybody. It was unanticipated and I've never enjoyed it. You can get the table you want in a restaurant, it gets you doctor's appointments, but what's that worth? Nothing." Harrison ended things by saying that he's only in it for the money, clarifying that acting is his job and that he's not in it for the notoriety. At number 7, Kristen Stewart. Twilight star Kristen Stewart has been acting since she was a kid, but her breakout role came about when the first Twilight film was released. After that, everyone was obsessed with Bella Swan and the actress who played her, but with that obsession and fame comes the burden of such notoriety, and Kristen has spoken out about her struggles with being in the public eye and how it has affected her negatively. In a 2015 interview with Harper's Bazaar, Kristen opened up about her love-hate relationship with fame, where she talked about how being famous is, quote, "the worst thing in the world." In the interview, Kristen commented on how at the beginning of her career, she used to feel utter panic when getting bombarded by paparazzi because she felt a loss of control and she had to learn to adapt to her surroundings over time. She continued to say, quote, "Having that much human energy thrust at you and then being critically analyzed is obviously disarming. Control issues make me so nervous. It's not knowing what's going to happen. So what people were seeing was what happens when you are terrified. My palms sweat, my knees shake, and I don't think I can stand in my heels. I'm breathing heavily, I feel nauseous, I'll be so nervous that my body creates something to calm me down and I get so tired," end quote. The actress also commented on how stupid fame can be, saying, quote, "Fame is the worst thing in the world, especially if it's pointless. When people say, I want to be famous, why? You don't do anything," end quote. At number 6, Anne Hathaway. Anne Hathaway has been so successful in the film industry, starring in all sorts of different films from The Devil Wears Prada to Les Miserables, but in a 2014 interview, Anne admitted that fame has really affected her for a long time. She opened up about her struggle balancing her life with the notoriety she was gaining, where she said, quote, "I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to engage with it. It stressed me out, and people would say, you just have to be yourself. But I was like, but I don't know who that is yet," end quote. The actress also spoke out about the criticism she started facing after her Oscars win for her role in Les Mis, which caused her to take a break from Hollywood. Speaking on this, Anne said, quote, "My impression is that people needed a break from me," end quote. Anne has showed us that fame isn't always easy and that sometimes you need to take a step back from things for your own sake. At number 5, Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga has, for the most part, always been pretty open about her life and her struggles. She's an open book with many of her fans about aspects of her everyday life, and that includes her career and the fame that comes with it. During an interview with CBS Sunday Morning back in 2016, Gaga spoke out about how fame has affected her life, and though she's grateful for the life it's given her, there are some negative aspects of fame that she isn't a fan of. During the interview, the singer vocalized how being famous impacts your privacy, where she said, quote, "I'm very acutely aware that once I cross that property line, I'm not free anymore. As soon as I go out into the world, I belong in a way to everyone else. It's legal to follow me, it's legal to stalk me at the beach, and I can't call the police or ask them to leave." On top of the concern of her privacy, Gaga also vocalized how her fame has taken away her freedom to just spark up a normal conversation with someone. The singer said that she missed being able to have conversations with people, as she said, quote, "I miss people. I miss, going somewhere and meeting a random person and saying hi and having a conversation about life. I love people," end quote. At number 4, Zach Galifianakis. During a 2014 press conference for the movie Birdman, actor Zach Galifianakis said that being a celebrity is dumb. This came after the film's cast talked about the notion of being a celebrity and having fame, a theme that is constant throughout the film. When the actor was asked about blurring the lines between performance and reality in the film, Zach began to speak about his own experiences being a celebrity and how he doesn't like it. Zach said, quote, "It's dumb. I'm not interested in it. I like to be an actor and that's it. The blurred lines are, I think, man-made. I think celebrity is man-made things. It's not innate in us. We have people telling us that we should pay attention to these people for the wrong reasons, their personal lives and that stuff. I'm just being honest. I would rather do my work and go home and watch Lifetime or something," end quote. Seems like being a celebrity is more taxing than fun. At number 3, Gigi Hadid. You would think that being a celebrity would grant you all of these amazing perks and you would have so many friends because of it, but apparently that's not exactly true, and being a celebrity can actually be pretty isolating. At least that's what supermodel Gigi Hadid has said in regards to fame. During a 2019 interview with Elle magazine, Gigi said that because of her work, she's lost a lot of friends. Speaking on this, Gigi said, quote, "I lost a lot of friends because I'll get busy for a short period of time and they're not reaching out. But if I don't reach out, it's like I've changed." She said that because her work is so demanding, a lot of people don't understand how taxing it can really be, and so when she disappears for work for a while, some people don't really wait for her in return and they just move on. To further explain her struggles with keeping her social life and work life in check, Gigi said, quote, "There are people who understand that I love them and who know that when I get back to town, I'm going to call them, but sometimes I can't call every day because I'm in weird places. Because a lot of the time I feel suffocated by my own work ethic and by my expectations I put on myself. It's really nice when you have people who say it's okay, take time for yourself," end quote. So just remember, if you ever get famous, don't expect all of your friends to stick around. At number 2, Robert Pattinson. Robert Pattinson has had a love-hate relationship with fame, and it all started after his career was boosted with the success of the Twilight franchise. Robert has said in interviews that his first unpleasant experiences with fame came from fans, saying that some of them were very intense. In one interview, the actor recalled some creepy run-ins that he had with fans as he said, quote, "Suddenly everywhere I went, people thought they already knew me. They look at a photo of me and and think they have a special relationship, a friendship, an affair with me, someone they haven't met their whole life, end quote. Coming out of this initial rise to fame, Robert has said that since gaining so much notoriety, he no longer feels like he has any privacy in his life. As he said, quote, "People were like, it's fine, who cares, they're just photos. They'll say, just live your life. But that's not life for me if someone is observing it," end quote. I honestly couldn't imagine how weird it would be to constantly have people checking in on your everyday life. And finally, at number 1, Megan Fox. During a 2013 interview with Esquire magazine, Megan Fox spoke out about how people view celebrities in the media and how it's unfair that celebrities get treated so poorly by the public and are just expected to take it. Throughout her career, Megan has been sexualized by Hollywood, and people have made comments about her appearance and her personality, some of those comments being quite negative, and Megan has said that it's not fair that she and many other celebrities are just expected to treat that criticism as normal or just part of the job. In the interview, Megan said, quote, "I don't think people understand. They all think that we should shut the F up and stop complaining because you live in a big house or drive a Bentley. So your life must be so great. What people don't realize is that fame, whatever your worst experience in high school, when you were bullied by those 10 kids in high school, fame is that, but on a global scale, where you were bullied by millions of people constantly. Not everyone understands that's the deal," end quote. Honestly, I get upset just reading hate comments on the internet, so to experience them on a global scale is something that I could not even imagine.